question I want to ask is, what is Christian leadership? Well, in many respects, I think Christian leadership is the refusal to lead. That the Christian priest is the one who refuses priesthood, therefore pushing back on everybody in the congregation and forcing a priesthood of all believers. So people want a leader they can dominate. They want a leader who will say what they think, a leader who will tell them their own desires, but in such a way that if it doesn't work, they can blame the leader and not themselves. There are churches where the pastor has to go through interviews with every single member of the congregation so that they are sure that this leader will say exactly what they want them to say. So for me, a Christian leader is someone who refuses to play that game, who every time people say, we want you to tell us what we want to hear, the leader says, no, you have to think for yourself, you have to take responsibility for yourself. Now somebody might say, so there's no place for a leader in the church? Well, not at all. You need a leader who refuses to lead. Somebody needs to take that role. If you imagine counselling, you've got an analyst and you've got somebody who's being analysed. People often think that the role of the analyst is to interpret the behaviour, is to give insight into why the person being analysed acts the way they do. But in truth, the analyst is there to refuse to do analysis, to push back on the person who's being analysed so as to get them to interpret their behaviour for themselves. So the analyst is vital, but they're vital only insofar as they refuse to be an analyst and tell the other person to take responsibility to interpret their own behaviour. This for me is the model of Christian leadership. This is why whenever somebody says, good teacher to Jesus, Jesus says, why do you call me good? Pushing back. This is why every time we try to name God, God says, I am beyond every name. Every time we try to colonize God and get God to say what we want God to say, God says, no, my name is above every name. You can't do that. Every time we try to push out our responsibility onto God, God pushes back and asks us to take responsibility for our own lives.